Today we're going to talk about how the social learning theory applies to what we do here at Finish Line and how we train our associates. So today I'm going to train my new sales associate Ramel, and I'm going to grab his attention by explaining to him what he's responsible for, and I'm going to also get into the motivation, retention, and reproduction aspects here in a bit. But I'm going to start off by improving Ramel's self-efficacy by saying things like, I know you can do it, I know you're going to do really well here, and this will help improve the likelihood that he reproduces the desired behavior. In the social learning theory, there is a major emphasis placed on modeling. So in this case, I'm going to act as the direct model for our new sales associate to observe. And in a classroom setting, a direct model could be a fellow student or a teacher, just somebody that the teacher chooses for a student to observe. So you'll see Ramel walking around in the background, just observing every single thing that I'm doing, and he's going to observe me, again, the direct model, and he's going to try to retain everything that he sees so that when it is his turn to sell, he can reproduce all of the behaviors. So as you see me return with the shoes, I'm just going to simply hand the shoes to the customer, let the customer put the shoes on, and then I'm going to reach over and grab some cleaner to demo for the customer. Now I'm demoing this cleaner because I want Ramel to see this because that plays into the motivation aspect. Here at Finish Line, the sales associates are commission, so the more that he reproduces the behavior that he's observing, the more money he'll make, which will increase the likelihood of him reproducing this behavior every time he sells to a customer. As we talked about before, retention is a key component of the social learning theory because if your students, or in my case, my sales associates, can't retain what they're observing, then the likelihood of them reproducing the behavior is not very high. So now I'm just going over everything that I did with Ramel so that he understands what's expected, but also to make sure that he retained everything that he saw. Because if he has any questions or he isn't sure why I did a certain thing, I have to review that with him so that when it's his turn to sell, he can successfully reproduce the desired behavior. So now it's time to see if Ramel can successfully reproduce all of the behaviors that he observed the direct model doing. So as the customer walks into the store, you'll see Ramel walk up to him, ask him what size he needs, and then walk the customer over to where we measure their feet. Now, it's important to provide feedback, and you'll see me walking around in the background, just making sure that Ramel is doing everything correctly and that he actually retained everything that he observed me doing. Now, in the social learning theory, you want to make sure that your students can reproduce all of the behaviors because if they can't, that means they may not have retained it or may not have the motivation to reproduce it. As we talked about before, the motivation here at Finish Line is higher commission. So as you see Ramel go grab cleaners and demo it to the customer, this shows that he actually retained everything that he observed and that he will reproduce it time and time again. Now, this also is true in the classroom, because a student may be motivated by things like higher grades, teacher praise, some type of reward, anything that will get the student motivated to reproduce the desired behavior over and over again. Now that Ramel's shift is over, I'm just going to provide some feedback to him, letting him know how well he did, and I'm going to show him how much money he made today. That way he can keep reproducing the behavior because this higher commission will serve as his motivation. Now, in the social learning theory, there is also an emphasis on self-regulation. So by doing this feedback process and going through the numbers, Ramel will start to regulate his own behavior, and I may not need to provide this feedback as often. Now, I'm also providing vicarious reinforcement and letting Ramel know that he did a really nice job, and this will increase the likelihood that he reproduces the desired behavior.